Alright, so we decided to do this scene from Psycho, homemade, and a lot of you have been requesting the famous shower sequence. It's a popular scene, it's one of the most famous scenes in all of movies, but when we looked closely at it, we decided there weren't a lot of homemade elements, so we found a scene that had a little bit more fun stuff in it that we could really sink our teeth into. So here's how we made it. So this whole scene takes place in black and white, and we've never done a black and white scene before. So we just shot it in color, and then afterwards, when you're editing, you just turn all the footage to black and white. But it meant really interesting things as far as color and matching up the outfits and stuff, so we didn't have to get as particular as we normally do, because we don't know what color they were wearing, we just know what shade it kind of looks like from light to dark. So it really kind of freed us up to have more leeway with which colors we used for the room and the props and the outfits and stuff, because it was all going to be black and white in the end anyway. Alright, so there are only 3 cast members in this scene, so we started out to cast Lila Crane. She's a classic Hitchcock blonde, as they call him, so we got our friend Eden to play this part.
I'm a big Alfred Hitchcock fan and a big Psycho fan, so I'm super excited.
She had just the right look, and she did her hair for it, and then we just kind of darkened her eyebrows and stuff.
But yeah, that will go on first, and then this one kind of goes on top.
Okay.
Her outfit is pretty easy. It's mostly just a button-up inside and then kind of an overcoat or something over it. We actually have like a purple outside coat. It looks like Joker's jacket, actually, but we figured once these are black and white, it's all just different shades of gray, so it's kind of gonna work. In the scene, Lila does wear a small gold watch, so we just made a quick little watch out of cardboard, and Eden wore that.
Now you're part of Hitchcock history.
Yes, now I'm a Hitchcock blonde.
So we brought in Danny, who has really similar facial features to Norman Bates in this, so it worked out great. Norman Bates in this scene, of course, is wearing Mother's gown, so we found a nightgown.
This lovely number. Yep.
We don't know what color theirs was in the scene because it's black and white, but ours is red, so we figured it has a kind of dark pattern and it will show up okay in black and white. And we didn't actually try it on before the actor came, so when Danny put it on for the first time, we realized it was kind of short-sleeved and it needed to be long-sleeved. So we improvised and cut some extra fabric out of the front of it and just made sleeves really quick. Also, since it needed to open all the way down, it was a perfect place to put a seam all the way down the front. We can let you keep that if you want. It's lovely on you.
Really? Thanks, guys.
He also wears an old lady's wig, the same wig that we end up using on Mother and we're using on him, which makes sense. Now, after Norman runs into the room, the other guy runs in, so we were just looking for someone who had kind of the classic movie guy, handsome features. So we have Julian, who came in, and he just wore a suit, and that was easy enough. Norman Bates is wielding a huge knife in this, and of course they're going to be struggling and everything, so we didn't want to use a real knife. I just made one out of some shiny cardboard, so when I spray painted it silver, it had a real shiny look to it. I want to make sure it wasn't flimsy too, so it has like a piece of wood kind of running through the whole center. So that's our big fake knife.
And yeah, that knife actually shoots out like that way. This kind of, yeah, perpendicular in there.
When the two guys start wrestling with each other, Norman really drops to the ground, so we put down some pillows and stuff to soften the landing because he had to do that over and over.
Ben's getting frisky with Mother. What are you doing to the poor woman?
I like older women.
Oh boy.
So the other person in the scene is Mother, or rather the corpse of Mother. This was an interesting challenge. We wanted to make it frightening and look like the original, but still make it homemade. Ben started with a base of cardboard, of course, we always start with cardboard. Made all the facial features and got the structure of the bones, and once the general shape was down, he then applied strips of paper mache on top of that, which is just soggy strips of newspaper coated in this sticky water flour mixture. He laid the strips down all individually and kind of built up and got a lot of the wrinkles, and we decided rather than painting it to match the way theirs looks, we wanted to just leave it. So if you look really close, you can see that there's newspaper prints showing through. That's what makes it homemade. The eye sockets kind of go in really deep, and he just used some pieces of paper that were sort of ripped and cut, and we sort of shaded it. And then for the teeth, Ben just rolled up like a little brown plastic bag and sort of made the gums, and then stuck other little individual pieces of cardboard that was painted white for the teeth. And then for the eyebrows, we just used a gray mustache that we found at the dollar store and cut it in half and sort of just put that on for the eyebrows. So we left this out to dry for several days, got it nice and hard, and now it's a nice solid thing. We just attached it to a pretty thick tube that we had and just made sort of little shoulders that were just made of cardboard. So that way we could put the shawl on and we could put the little doily around the neck.
That's a lovely doily you have, ma'am.
And then in one of the shots, not all of the shots, but in one of them, actually, she has a little brooch right there. So we just found a piece of gold plastic that we had miscellaneous and sort of cut it and put that there. For the big reveal, when Mother turns around, we just put her in her chair there and actually used a furniture dolly and then just a piece of wood so we could get it nice and solid so that we could rotate it around really slowly and figured out exactly when it needed to hit that final beat, and then it kind of shakes for some reason. It's kind of funny, so getting the timing on that was really crucial.
Introducing new senior mobility chairs.
Now I can go anywhere I
So all of this really takes place in a cellar, but we figured we could sort of just dress the house to look sort of similar, but most importantly, it's the doorway that she comes through and then Norman comes through. So we found the doorway in my living room, looked pretty good, but the door didn't open the right direction. So actually, when she first walks through the door, we shot that inside my bedroom, looking out towards the living room because the door opens the correct way. Then the rest of it, we switch and she's actually coming into the living room. You'll notice that the door disappears and that's why. You know, the bedroom's blue and the living room's more yellow, but in black and white, it's all just sort of a light shade of gray. So as long as we sort of matched up the surrounding area, we figured it would match up pretty good.
Alright, so we're trying to match these cellar shelves and stuff that they have going on, so we just stacked up the dining room table and put some TV trays up on here just to sort of get the overall shape. So we've got the trunk here, and this is it. This is our doorway.
So the TV trays are inside the bedroom for that shot, and then outside in the living room for the other shot. So it all kind of ties together. And then when Lila turns around, we're in even a different room. That's my dining room, because I kind of have a shelf already where they had a shelf, and we figured this corner looks good. Let's shoot it there.
Alright, so we're just setting up the little cellar corner where Mother is sitting. We tried to match up as much as we could. So we've got a table, we've got some barrels, we've got the Star Wars trench barrel over there, and just some miscellaneous boxes and crates and things. So it pretty much matches their shot, but kind of a more compact version.
Lighting is really important in this scene. When she first walks in, she walks past a light bulb, and then it kind of looks like another light bulb sort of comes into frame. We don't really know what that was. It's probably just some kind of lens flare, but to match it, while I'm holding the camera, I just literally held another light bulb and just kind of dipped it down into the frame and covered the other one at the right moment, because that's the closest thing I could think of that matched what theirs looked like. And then when she screams, her hand very specifically hits the light bulb, but we figured it would break as soon as she hit it. When we were testing it out, I actually did hit it with my hand, and it broke.
Oh.
So we rigged up some fishing wire and a little pulley on the ceiling so that way right before her hand hits it, we would just pull it back and figured that'll look kind of similar. Now for the rest of the scene, that light bulb was supposed to be swinging around and it's creating a really dramatic effect and it's kind of dizzying and disorienting, so we just used one of our bright handheld lights and we just point it at the subject and sort of swing it around. So we're trying to match their shadows and their highlights as close as we can. Eden really did this scream too, and she did it in every take. It was a blood-curdling shriek that she did inside the house here. I thought the neighbors were gonna call the cops, but luckily nobody did. She really nailed that scream every time.
And I've always wanted to be in a movie where I got to have a blood-curdling scream, so I got my wish.
Sounds good.
Since this scene takes place all in the basement, we didn't really get a chance to see the famous Bates Motel or the house that Mother sits up in the window. So we decided at the beginning of the scene just to do my intro there in front of the Bates house. So this is just made out of cardboard. Ben drew it out and added the little kind of paper bag texture on there. And again, this was meant for black and white, so he sort of just shaded it thinking of what the tone was going to be in black and white, not necessarily the color. That's why it's red, because in black and white, it looks fine. But in real life, it's red, and that's why. So once again, for the music, I just sang it all myself a cappella. Now this is some of the most famous movie music of all time. Those high screeching strings, kind of that. You do one kind of at one note, and then you do a slightly different note, just like a half a step down. And when you mix them, it creates this really dissonant, kind of awful sound.
Or when they go to a flashback, it's Wayne's World.
They changed the ending. And we have Norma.
Arm is pretty high. It's almost straight up. Yeah. High five.
Oh.
That works. Okay. Everybody be careful. Huh? I have to cut the back. The Little Giant. It's definitely E.T. It's a wrap on, Mom. I'll be in my chair. Perfect. Oh. Good job, everybody. Good job.
So that's how we made our homemade Psycho scene. Hope you liked it. Let me know in the comments if you have any other questions on how we made it. And stay tuned to Cinefix for more homemade movies. Whoa, what are you doing here, Mother? Whoa!